All right, welcome Thrivers to, I believe it's our 15th webinar. And we have quite a few awesome panelists this time. And as some of you might know, there's Thanksgiving coming today in the US, not in Canada. And then there's also the holidays coming up. So what better time to talk about food and what to consider when choosing eco-friendly food options. So joining us, we have Ben, Narina, and Fred. And it would be great if you can all introduce yourselves, to share a little bit about your own impact journey and what your businesses do. So I guess we'll start maybe with Fred and we'll go around.
Hey guys, my name is Frederick from Montreal, and I'm the CEO of a company called Bumble Bloom, and we actually do vegan honey that's organic, 100% organic, clean label. It's made out of apple, and we actually do distribution across Canada, mainly east for now, and yeah, that's it.
No.
I'll go quick. Hi everyone, my name is Narina Switlow. I'm a co-founder of Nalito, and we make Truly Turmeric, the world's first wild-crafted whole root turmeric paste. And we're a certified B Corp, so we are really focused on not only environmental impact, but social impact.
And hi, I'm Ben Liege. I'm CEO at Rethink Together, a food sustainability consultancy based in Vancouver with expertise in food waste prevention. And so we work with the hotel and restaurant industry to minimize food waste and improve the bottom line. Because in Canada, it's 58% of food produce which is being wasted, and avoidable food waste is $49 billion every single year.
Great. Yeah, thanks so much to have such a diverse you're doing all kinds of different food-related services and products, so it's great we'll have some diverse perspectives for sure. The first question we have, I know this is maybe an interesting topic. Some of you might be vegan, some of you might not be, but regardless, there's always this question about, well, okay, meat has a very high environmental footprint, so aside from not eating meat, maybe you don't want to choose to. There are some members, maybe they prefer to eat meat. So what about the production and capturing of meat and fish? How can it be done to be more sustainable or done in an ethical way? And this is from Carolina. I believe she's based in Portugal. I don't know if there's anyone who wants to go first.
I can. Okay.
Sure.
Well, I think for me, local and organic is always fantastic. So I would definitely favor, if I'm eating meat, some very good quality meat, which doesn't have any hormone and made with care for the cattle. I know as well there are some research right now to provide as feed, seaweed as feed for cows, which enables to reduce methane emission by 80%. So, so personally, I limit my consumption of meat to the minimum, but I just make sure that if I've ever eat meat, that it's meat that has been ethically captured and produced.
I mean, on my end, I mean, I can relate to this question definitely because I've been vegan for 7 years now. I haven't eaten meat in 7 years. But, it's for a bunch of different reasons. And ethically, for me, there's a lot of ethical reasons. I just don't eat another animal for many different reasons. And so the ethical part for me is very important, apart from the, pollution and water intensive resources. So it's quite easy for me to answer this because it's ethical mainly for me. So.
I have a little bit of a complicated answer to this question. So I have myself been vegan, pescatarian. I've kind of gone through all of that. And I was vegan when I moved to East Africa and I was working there. And it was an interesting dilemma for me going to friends' houses that are Maasai and they, have slaughtered a goat, especially for my arrival. And it was this kind of moral dilemma between I don't eat meat, but here, you know, an animal has been slaughtered. And so it kind of made me a bit more of an omnivore. And what I kind of think is that in the industrial scale of meat and fish is not sustainable. And I think we see that along our whole food supply chain. So the more that you can support small producers, you can support producers that use their land in regenerative ways. And really, you know, living in cities, we have so many amazing other types of products that don't come from animals that you don't really need that animal protein. However, though, like, you know, our growers are in Belize, and that's a very different story because their, you know, chickens are raised at the homestead and they're running around and meat isn't eaten every day. So I think having a bit of a balance and also determining for yourself, like, where do you stand in your own ethics and how do you want to have your impact on our food supply chain?
So the summary is that you should have your own goats or chicken. Is that,
yes,
is that that's in your like apartment?
In your apartment.
Yeah. So on a more serious note, I guess there are a lot of alternatives to whether it's meat or dairy, and also honey. So it would be great to hear, you know, what your thoughts are on the different alternatives to dairy and meat, whether it's almond milk, oat milk, honey alternatives, etc., and how to kind of assess, are they truly more environmentally friendly, and how do you compare the different options? I know, for example, even like alternative milk options, there's so many to choose from, and like, how do you decide which one's the most environmentally friendly? I'll give this to Fred because I know your product is an alternative, so I'll let you start with this.
Well, you know, there's always a gray zone. I mean, it's not always a question of black and white. I don't like the extremes. So I always try to take the point of view of the different people in all the chain of ideas. But, you know, technically some, you know, a company like some huge companies, I won't say any names, but that are doing like not organic almond milk is actually takes a lot of water. But it's been, you know, a lot of research say that the oat milk is way better in the, you know, in the plant-based milks categories. You know, it's better to take oat milk than almond milk or cocoa milk, right? So there's in the chain of the different kind of plant-based options in the milks, if we say the milk, some that are better than others too, right? Just not just cow milk or, you know, plant-based milk. So it's just a question of maybe seeing and searching a little bit more of what's the best for the environment. And you know, I think on my end, oat milk has been known to be one of the plant-based milk that takes a lot less water to produce. So in almond milk at one point, I don't drink, I mean, almond milk, because there's a lot of problem with the bees also to pollinize all and there's a lot of problem with this too. So in the category itself, there are better or less impactful products also to try and to use. So for me, I always go to an oat milk, you know, which Canadian, actually we have a bunch of oats here too. So we definitely can use this as an alternative. So I'd like to see in the category if there's something that's better than the other one, not just the dairy, obviously, which is not good. And like I said, it's for ethics. I wouldn't drink milk. So for me, it's just a no-go anyway. So apart from all the impact on the environment, which is major too. Yeah.
Yeah, happy to add on this. Thank you. It was a great answer. I would say like it also depends on the environmental impact. Like for sure, all the alternatives will have an impact like less important compared to dairy. Like that's whatever you choose.
Yeah.
But then for sure, depending if you choose like almond milk, oat milk, soy milk, rice milk, you'll have different impact, and there are also different environmental impact to consider. Like you have like the carbon footprint, you have the water use, you have the land use. So if you look at different things, like basically, if you just look at the carbon footprint, like almond milk and oat milk are the best compared to soy milk and rice milk, and after dairy is like much higher. And for water, the best are oat milk and soy milk, and almond milk and rice milk are more water intensive.
Exactly. So, and the other problem I'd say to add a little bit on this is like a lot of these options are not yet organic, which is a big problem too. So it's always hard to get like 100% on your exams. There's always have some point that you have to let go a little bit of some of the stuff. And what is it? So a lot of the problem with this is that nothing's organic for now. But the more and more there will be a lot of dairy cheeses, not dairy, I mean the plant-based cheeses are now, there's a lot that are organic, cashews, that it's way better than just regular cashew, especially for bees too, and for all the problems with the sickness and different diseases and water pollution and whatnot.
The interesting thing about cashew milk that I learned a little while ago was, and this would probably be the non-organic versions, is the labor involved in harvesting the cashews, and the families and women that are being like scarred and burned from the acid. So I think this is something that I've been struggling with being in the food industry, is that I think that a lot of corporations put a lot of pressure on the consumer to be the perfect consumer and to, struggle all of these decisions like, is it almond or oat milk? Where the real issue is actually the large corporations that are producing things that are unsustainable. So I think when you're at the store and you're standing there trying to figure it out, do your best. And maybe put some of that energy into emailing large, your government or large corporations to say, hey, what can we do, to be more environmentally friendly from the top down?
I say that's a really good point, and it's the same thing for a coconut. Sometimes the coconut are picked up by monkeys that are sticking to the trees, and people don't know that. Like nobody knows that. It's basically like our products. People don't know that honey is for bees. I'm surprised, that like in 2021, most of the people, they don't even know that honey is for bees. So they think they make this for humans, So it's the same thing. It's like it's kind of the industry as kind of always a way to explain the stuff like they want to explain it. Like a nice story, but they don't know the dark spots. I have a good friend, she's in the banana industry, and it's disgusting. I mean, the banana industry is one of the worst in the world, and they tried to take like the fair trade, organic, pay the employees fairly, and sometimes we don't think about this, right?
Oh, I've seen in Belize, I remember about a year ago driving down, and there was this beautiful stretch of jungle, like absolutely beautiful. And one time I was driving down, and it had been completely clear cut for a banana plantation, sponsored by the EU for sustainable development and food production. And it's like you just killed a bunch of biodiversity for your bananas. So
that's the thing, right?
I don't think there's any perfect way to consume, but I think the more pressure we put on the big decision makers to kind of help control those corporations is better.
And if I can add something, I don't think it's something I want to eat, but there's a big movement in the cultured meat, lab grown meats and stuff like that, which it's an alternative. But it's funny to me that like 10 years ago it was like a GMO free stuff, and like it's full on GMO. I don't know. It's just like trying to find another way to create something from cell based. But it's good for me. I mean, everything that doesn't involve killing animals or abusing in a mass production of whatever is better.
There's actually a really good company. It's called Very Good Food, which is like from BC.
I know them very well.
So yeah, they're doing a great job, and I really enjoy their products.
Well, plug for your friends here.
Speaking of BC, this question was actually from Antonia, who's based in BC and one of our Thrive team members. Going on to the next question, so thanks for all the insights. I think there's so many options to choose from and always important to do research. And I think at the end of the day, you kind of have to decide, is it water? Is it ethical? Is it something else that you want to focus on? Because realistically, we do have to eat and you want to reduce the environmental impact, but ultimately everything will have some form of environmental impact. With that in mind, going a little bit away from meat, this question was from Tia. I believe she's also based in BC. And this question is also very interesting for me because I'm an athlete and I'm hungry all day. So I like to snack. And so Tia and also myself are kind of curious, what are some eco-friendly snack options or choices that use less plastic or packaging? Because, granola bars, chips, all those things, like chips, for example, I try to consume less because they come in a huge bag and then there's like a third of it is actually the chips. So I don't know if any of you have found any alternatives.
That's a good question. That's a category that's been the same forever, it seems.
Yeah.
Maybe in Arena.
Apart from doing the snacks yourself, I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, I would say by bulk. There's lots of bulk options where you can go. Just a very BC-centric answer in terms of we have a lot of grocery stores here that are allowing you to bring your own containers. A great one that I'll plug is Nada, which is a zero-waste grocery store where you can bring your jars, refill with any snack items you'd like. They also have, tofu, etc. And then you take them out, so you're not having that impact. Now, that's not realistic for everybody and for every grocery trip, but I would say you just look at, if you're wanting a protein bar or granola bar, is there a way that you can find one that's like larger, that has less packaging, versus one that has more packaging? And fruits and veggies are great snacks, and they don't have.
Well, that's what I was about to say. That nuts. You go to any bulk barns and whatever, you can get it by bulk. This question, do they sell bars in these stores, like actual bars?
Nada has like pretty much everything. They're pretty amazing.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
The people that run that place.
Because we actually sell our stuff in a bunch of zero waste stores. It's huge east in Montreal, at least in the area. It's huge, and that's actually something I could tell them to do their own bars or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But people like bars, right?
And even do it your own. Like I just made like homemade granola, and you can make your own bars. It's really like easy to do, and it's very delicious. And another snack I like is actually popcorn. So you just buy the popcorn.
I agree on the popcorn.
Like really like
the kernels.
Yeah, bird kernels of popcorns, and then you can make it like savory, sweet, whatever. I add some spices, and you can just bring it. It's really easy to do, and it's really tasty, and of course just an apple. I actually ate the whole apple, like apart from.
You're crazy! Don't do that.
Cyanide in the seeds. No, but I think in terms of the other question to ask about like snack foods is that they're very highly processed, most of them. So, in terms of things that you're conscious about, like impact, but also like impact on your own body, like, more whole foods, the more natural you can eat, the better for, I think, everybody.
And I mean, the price, the price of these bars or balls or energy balls and whatnot is crazy. I mean, you just buy a bunch of nuts and granola and you put some Bumble Bloom on it, and no, but actually you put whatever maple syrup or Bumble Bloom or whatever you want, and you do your stuff. You're gonna put money in your pocket like crazy, and you're gonna get a lot more for a longer time. Anyways, it's just you need to get used to it. It's like anything in life. Once you do it a few times, you get a hold of it, you know it, and you do it.
It's like I'm almost like imagining my 20-year-old self listening to this conversation, being like, I have to make my own granola bars now.
Oh yeah.
But I think as you get
everyone.
more mature, you get more excited about like being more in touch with your food and what you're making. So.
I think for me the challenge has been I'm based in Mexico at the moment, and I don't have an oven or something like that. So something like granola bars is a little bit trickier to do without an oven, sorry. So yeah, I end up having to try other things, but I agree with
a lot
Ben.
of snacks in Mexico.
Yeah, for sure. But Ben's idea of the popcorn, I definitely do that. So, but it is tricky, I think, just because in terms of, right, I think there's always a balance in 21st century of convenience versus sustainability, because even something like restaurants, well, restaurants are far more sustainable than most fast food in terms of packaging, but people like the convenience of fast food or taking out or whatever. But usually always the old-fashioned approaches, making your own or cooking or whatever, is usually the most sustainable. For sure. So
at one point there's going to be some more like packaging that's like more biodegradable and whatnot. It has to come at one point. It's just sometimes some categories takes longer time than other for a bunch of different reasons. But I mean, it's like people ask and people like put it out there. They have to change the industry, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah, thanks again for sharing all the ideas and suggestions. For the final question, it'd be great to hear if you have any other tips on either buying locally, reducing food waste, or switching to an eco-friendly diet. It sounds like all of you have had kind of your experience with that, either through personal lives or through your business. So it'd be great to hear. And maybe we can start with Ben on maybe food waste.
Sure. So yeah, basically, I mean, there are so many tips to reduce food waste, but if I could give a few, it'd be like, take a photo of your fridge before you go shopping. Then you will not forget, oh, did I have carrots or did I have anything? So it just take 2 seconds before you go shopping, and then you know what you have in your fridge. A second one would be to buy imperfect, because many produce you can find in a supermarket right now, like they are like super straight, and like if they don't meet certain like criteria, they are not on the shelves. And actually in Canada, it's 1.2 million apples which are wasted every single day, which is just crazy. So like there are cool companies like Spud.ca or Peco Produce, which is a new company here in BC. They've basically selling imperfect produce for like 40% cheaper. So it's cheaper, it's fighting food waste, and so it's a great alternative. I highly recommend trying that, and just be creative when you cook. Like there's so many ways to like find other use of and to maximize the use of every single ingredients. Like each time you put something in your compost bin, like just see your compost bin as an ATM. Like an average household can save $1,100 a year. Just with avoidable food waste at home, only at home. So there are many things that you can do, and I'll just leave with one last thing. Like there is a cool project happening in BC about to be launched early next year. It's called Ecometer. It's going to be a rating for restaurant on different topics, including food waste, plastic waste, supply chain, and community. So check it out if you're in BC.
Cool. That's exciting.
Any other ideas?
Great
tips.
Any
other tips maybe on buying locally or other ways to switch to an eco-friendly diet? Because I know it is a challenge sometimes to get started.
I mean, we buy a lot of stuff in bulk because, you know, when you're vegan, we eat junk vegan fast food here and there, or sometimes on burgers and stuff, but we eat a bunch of lentils and beans and tofu, like big chunks of tofu, and there's so many ways to use it. There's so many people now and website to be creative about the foods you eat and how can you use it, and, you know, you boil some veggies while you keep the stock, and you use something else to thicken it, to do some kind of gravy. I mean, if you go on the internet a little bit and you do some research, there's some good ideas here and there for this. And I mean, I think bulking on a lot of the day-to-day stuff really helps. And I mean, the veggies, there's probably, I mean, a lot of times some zero waste stores, stuff like that uses more locally grown ingredients, produce, that you can buy. But yeah, I think that's one of the things we do, at least. And
so I live on my own, and so I actually have been like struggling with reducing my own food waste, because I think there's a bit of a temptation to, like, being an entrepreneur and being really busy, oh, I'm just going to go grocery shopping once every 2 weeks. And, I buy more than I need or more than can stay good in the fridge. And then, as you were saying, I'm chucking it out into the organics bin. And so a small shift that I've made is just to go, twice weekly for my fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that, so that I'm buying less at a time and I'm actually going through those before I'm adding more into the fridge. And so that's been rewarding for me to see, my food waste be really reduced that way. And then as well, switching to more eco-friendly diet, just look at the companies that you're buying from, learn about their supply chain if you can. A lot of food companies like to hide that. But just do your best. And if you're, there's a lot of great websites out there or other people who might have more info on certain, just get in there, do the research, have fun with it too. Like I would say, don't get stressed out that you can't eat anything because there's going to be an impact. Like, find your joy in food, find, what you can do, the little things to be more eco-friendly. And also, I would say, make sure you're looking at the social impact too. There's a lot of amazing food products out there that are produced with a big impact to humans and animals as well, like outside of the environment, like poor labor conditions. So look for certifications like B Corp, like Fair Trade, or organic. Those mean that those companies have some sort of check and balance on how they're producing, and that helps.
I think to add to what Narina said, I think my approach to grocery shopping, I'm not perfect by any means, but I do shop every week. But I think for me, what I do is I try to plan in advance. Okay, these are the meals I'm planning. Breakfast and lunch are, for me, easy. I usually have more or less the same thing, but dinners I try to vary. But just thinking, okay, these are the things I'll make for next week, and then just buying those things. I think that usually helps to kind of plan mentally, or maybe even writing it down of, what you're planning to eat for the next week. Thanks so much for...
Sorry, eat seasonally. That was
okay.
Buy what's in season.
And one is of that's cool that there's a lot of, you probably can do that in BC and a lot of different places. There's a bunch of farms now that they're open, and you pick up your own veggies or fruits, and you actually put your hand in the soil and actually understand what the impacts of what it is, how beautiful it is, how amazing. We're lucky to do that. Sometimes at the grocery stores, you're in a big box and there's whatever in there, but once in a while, like seasonally, that's the thing. Like, go pick up your pumpkin or just go grab apples, and you'll feel actually what it is to have the real thing that you pick up and grab yourself. That for me is really important, because people are disconnected. So many people are living in urban area, but like, take a trip, like a couple of hours for a day, and pick up your own stuff. That kind of puts you in the mind to gradually, organically make these changes.
And I think sometimes too, in case you don't have a car, don't have the time for that, sometimes I think some farmers also do delivery options, or maybe a farmer's market. I think farmer's markets are a good idea too. So here in Mexico, they always have some form of market somewhere, so it makes it a bit easier. But I know in Canada, sometimes there's things like that too. Thanks so much, everyone, for sharing your insights and your personal experiences. I do appreciate it. For all the viewers, I know we might not have many viewers now because it's exam season, but they'll probably watch later. So any viewers that want to get in touch with any of our speakers, the LinkedIn, there's a link to everyone's LinkedIn in the description, so feel free to connect with them. They're all lovely people, so I'm sure that just mention you saw this webinar so they know how you found them. So Ben, Marina, and Fred, thanks so much, and enjoy your holidays. Hopefully you have a nice eco-friendly meal.
Cheers, happy holidays.
Honored to meet you all. Bye.
Bye.